Hi everyone, welcome back to Show Me Mo Vegan, where I make easy, whole food vegan meals. My name's Wendy, and today I'm talking about how you can use local produce. Over the last several months, I've been encouraging you to look into community-supported agriculture, farmers markets, or other opportunities to get local produce in your area. I know we're in the middle of winter now, so there might not be many opportunities everywhere, but you might be surprised. And in any case, it's time to start thinking about signing up for a CSA this spring or summer. When you join a CSA, you sign up at the beginning and get produce all throughout the growing season. Often, it can be an overwhelming abundance if you're not used to eating that way. So I hope these videos help give you ideas on how to use your local produce. Last week, I showed you this really easy veggie pizza that I made using fennel and tomatoes from my local CSA. And this week, I wanted to show you some stuffed peppers that I made. I got a variety of different peppers, as well as some Swiss chard and scallions that I'll use for the filling. I started by taking some dried mushrooms. I think these were chanterelle mushrooms, but I'm not picky, it doesn't really matter. Whatever dried mushrooms you might have on hand should work. I simply took the mushrooms and rehydrated them by simmering them on the stove in some water until they soften. And you'll want to reserve that liquid because it creates a beautiful mushroom broth that has so much flavor. You don't want to throw that away. I'm pouring it through a fine mesh strainer, and you'll also want to be careful not to pour out the very last little bit because there might be some dirt and grit at the bottom of your pan. And you'll set this aside, and I'll tell you how I used it a little later. I'm just chopping up these rehydrated mushrooms and adding them with my other veggies that are going to go in my filling. I didn't show myself chopping it up, but I have the Swiss chard leaves, the scallions, and some tomatoes. And then I cut the peppers in half. I got a variety of different sweet bell peppers and poblano peppers. So I'll cut them in half, take the ribs and seeds out. You don't have to be really particular about getting all the seeds out because they won't really be spicy with these peppers. I laid the peppers out into a couple casserole dishes so they're ready for stuffing. And here's what we're using for the filling. I started by sautéing onions as well as the stems from the Swiss chard. Once those soften, I added in a bunch of different spices. I'll have a link in the description box to a recipe listing out everything I used. Then I added the tomatoes, scallions, and Swiss chard leaves just to let those wilt down. For some extra flavor, I added a vegan cheese sauce. You can use whatever cheese sauce you like, and there are tons of them out there. If you just Google vegan cheese sauce, you can find plenty. Some will be more healthy than others. I'll put a link below to a whole food vegan cheese sauce that I like to use, but you can use whichever one you like. For even more convenience, I love the products from Well Your World because they're SOS free. That means salt, oil, and sugar free. Plus, they're all whole food vegan products. With their cheese sauce mix, you simply take the mix, blend it with some water, and you have a cheese sauce. Next up, I have some millet. Millet is a delicious grain that's easy to make, plus it's gluten-free if that's something that you need. I usually take about 1 cup of millet with 1 3/4 cups of liquid. And this is where I'm using that mushroom broth. I simply cooked the millet in the mushroom broth to infuse it with all of that flavor. I usually take about 1 cup of millet with about 1 3/4 cups of liquid. So in this case, it was a combination of water and the mushroom broth. Then I cook it at high pressure in the Instant Pot for 10 minutes. Finally, I have some black lentils. You could use whatever lentils you like. I personally love these black lentils because they kind of keep their shape better than other types of lentils, and they're so easy to cook. For these, I take 1 cup of the lentils with about 2 to 3 cups of water. You don't really have to measure the water out, just make sure you have at least about 1 inch over the lentils to make sure they cook. And we'll drain off any excess water, so it's easy peasy. I cook these in the Instant Pot for 5 minutes at high pressure. And then we mix it all together. So I'm combining the millet, the black lentils, and that vegetable vegan cheese sauce mixture. I also threw in some black olives for a little extra flavor. And then you simply stuff the peppers. You can fill them as much as you like, and if you have any extra filling, feel free to just eat it as is. Maybe toast up a couple corn tortillas to use for dipping. And then you'll bake your peppers until the peppers start to soften. It's as simple as that. This ended up having a really nice meaty texture, which is not something that I'm generally trying to replicate, but if you're just switching over to a plant-based diet and that's something you want, this might be a great alternative. the millet kind of sticks everything together into clumps, so along with the lentils and the mushrooms, it has a texture very similar to a ground meat. And I know I get probably a C or a D for presentation here, but this is real life and I don't really care what it looks like. But for bonus points and even extra flavor, you could of course drizzle some of that vegan cheese sauce over the top, add a little bit of salsa, and maybe sprinkle some fresh parsley or cilantro over the top. Next, I'll show you just a couple other recipes that I made using my local produce. One week I got even more bell peppers and jalapenos, so I decided to make some chili. It's so easy to just throw in the crock pot, and it makes the house smell amazing all day. Often if you join a CSA, you'll find at certain parts of the season you'll get tons of certain veggies. So as you can see, I was getting lots of peppers. So one week I got even more peppers, and I made a delicious roasted pepper soup. I have a previous video where I also made a roasted pepper soup, so I'll link that so you can check it out. You can also go super simple. Take a can of chickpeas and mix it with some cooked quinoa and any vegetables you have, chop it up and add them in. Make a simple dressing out of lemon juice, balsamic vinegar, mustard, whatever seasonings you like, and some fresh herbs. For me, fresh basil is the perfect touch. Finally, of course you can make beautiful salads with your local produce. I was getting so much gorgeous lettuce, and I find that local lettuces are so much more flavorful because you're getting them right when they're picked. I was getting a bunch of these beautiful purple radishes as well. You can see this gorgeous pattern of purple throughout, and it makes for some really pretty salads. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment down below to let me know if this was helpful and if you like these kinds of videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.